Hello, and welcome to the eMedNY computer-based training series for New York State Medicaid providers. This is part of our ePACES series of tutorials. The purpose of this session is to familiarize providers with the ePACES Dispensing Validation System, DVS, for dental. The key objectives for this session include general information about the Dispensing Validation System, DVS, how to request a dental DVS, examples of DVS responses, how to cancel a DVS, important reminders, reference and contact information. The Dispensing Validation System, DVS, is an automated approval process for selected items. A DVS authorization, it is an 11-digit number. Dental sealants require DVS authorization. When a procedure code description shows DVS required, as shown in this example from the Dental Provider Manual Procedure Code section, the item service requires an authorization via the Dispensing Validation System, DVS. For additional information on the prior approval, prior authorization requirements, click Use of DVS, which is hyperlinked in the procedure code description. Note, a tooth number is required for sealants. Another way to determine if a DVS is required is to refer to the dental fee schedule on the eMedNY.org website. When a PA DVS code of DVS is indicated, a DVS is required. DVS authorizations for dental sealants are valid for 365 days, 1 year. If needed, the provider may cancel a dental DVS within 90 days of the original issue date. The required tooth number on a DVS request must match the tooth number on the claim. A DVS request requires the current date and not a past or future date. DVS authorization does not guarantee payment. Prior to submitting a DVS request, providers must verify a member's eligibility. The DVS for dental resources can be found on the eMedNY website, www.emedny.org. To locate the DVS for dental resources, select Self-Help at the top of the eMedNY.org homepage. Select ePACES reference sheets. For guidelines on submitting a DVS request for dental services, select ePACES PA DVS request. For guidelines on responses to a DVS for dental service, select ePACES PA DVS response. We will be going over the DVS responses later in the presentation. DVS requests begin by going to the eMedNY.org homepage and select Login ePACES. Please note, access to ePACES requires enrollment. Contact the eMedNY call center at 800-343-9000 to enroll in ePACES. To obtain a dental DVS, start by logging into ePACES. Enter your username and password on the ePACES login screen. Each user should have their own unique username and password. Read and then check that you have read and agree to the Medicaid confidentiality regulations. Select Agree Login. The left side of the ePACES home screen displays the available functions. Under the PA DVS section, select Initial Request. The PA DVS Initial Request window will open. Begin by entering in the client Medicaid ID in the field labeled Enter a Client ID. The client ID is 8 characters and contains 2 letters, 5 numbers, and a letter. The client ID is located on the recipient's New York State Medicaid card. Once you have entered the client ID, press Go. To request a DVS authorization for dental services, in the transaction type field, select Dental DVS. As a reminder, the procedure code description in the dental provider manual shows DVS required. The fee schedule indicates a PA DVS code of DVS. Leave provider service address and contact information blank for a dental DVS request. The referring provider field may be left blank unless the client is a restricted recipient. For additional information about the restricted recipient program, refer to the Dental Policy and Procedure Code Manual on emedney.org. An ordering provider is required on all dental DVS requests. There are 3 ways of entering an ordering provider. The first option is to select a name from the list of your existing providers. Select a provider's name from the list and click Go. The selected provider is now listed as the ordering provider. The second option is to search by Medicaid provider's last name. Enter the provider's last name and click Go. Choose the provider by clicking on the radio button next to the provider's name in the Select column, and then click on Select Provider. The selected provider is now the ordering provider. The third option is to search by the Medicaid provider's NPI number. Enter the NPI in the provider number field and click Go. The provider with the entered NPI is now the ordering provider. In the Event Information section, select the facility type of professional dental. Enter the service type as 35 dental care. Enter the appropriate release of information option. Enter today's date and the service date from field. You may click on the calendar to choose the date, or enter the date with a 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year. If an invalid date, such as September 31st, is entered, an error message, "The service date must be equal to the current date," will display in red. Leave the pattern of delivery, home oxygen therapy, and home health care section blank for a dental DVS request. Leave the attachments, certification category, condition codes, and comments section blank, and click Next. This will bring you to the Prior Approval Items tab. Enter the service date in the From field. As a reminder, a DVS request requires the current date and not a past or future date. You may click on the calendar to choose the date or enter the date with a 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year. Enter the 5-digit procedure code. Enter the 2-digit modifier when applicable. Enter the unit count service quantity. Enter the appropriate tooth number. Remember, tooth numbers are required for sealants. The tooth number on a DVS request must match the tooth number on the claim. Enter the submitted charge in the line item amount field. Once you've entered the service date, procedure code, applicable modifiers, the unit count, tooth number, and the line amount, click Submit. Your screen will refresh and a message, Request Submitted, will appear. If you make a mistake, you may see error messages such as enter a valid service date for line 1 if an invalid date such as September 31st is entered. Enter a valid unit count for line 1 if a letter or special character is entered. Enter a valid tooth number if not one listed when clicking the blue box. Enter a valid request amount for line 1 if a letter or special character is entered. To view ePACES DVS responses, select Responses from the PA DVS section. Examples of DVS response action codes include A1 certified in total, all requested services units are authorized. A3 not certified, requested services units are not authorized. When A3 is received, review the response descriptive text to identify the error. Refer to the MEVS DVS Provider Manual, Section 4.2 for rejection reason code information. C. Canceled. DVS has been canceled. CT. Contact payer. Contact payer at 800-343-9000 for additional information. And NA. No action required. Authorization unnecessary for service requested. When action code A3 is received in a DVS response transaction, it is accompanied by a healthcare service decision reason code in the response descriptive text field. Examples of a DVS descriptive text response when action code A3 is received are listed here. Some examples are 0Q duplicate request. The entered transaction is a duplicate of a previously submitted and approved DVS transaction. 0Y service inconsistent with patient's age. The member's age is below the minimum allowable age or exceeds the maximum allowable age for the procedure code entered. 12. Patient is restricted to a specific provider. The ordering provider entered is not the provider the member is restricted to, or the ordering provider field was left blank. 25. Services were not considered due to other errors in the request. There are errors on the request. Need to submit a new request. The next two slides show examples of ePACES DVS responses. This slide shows an example of action code A3 not certified along with the response descriptive text. This slide shows an example of action code A1 certified in total. The review ID number is the DVS approval number you will enter on the dental claim. Here are examples of action codes C and NA with their associated response descriptive text. As a reminder, C canceled, the DVS has been canceled. NA, no action required, authorization unnecessary for service requested. Click on the client ID number to access the DVS response detail screen. The DVS response detail screen includes the client information with the client ID, name, gender, and date of birth. The transaction type, in this example, dental DVS. The response action code A1 certified in total, and in this example, the issue date, effective date, and expiration date of the DVS request. The 11-digit number under Review ID is the DVS number for the claim. Please note that the service delivery must occur between the issue date and the expiration date of the DVS authorization. Next, we will review canceling a DVS in ePACES. Before we go through the actual steps, please keep in mind that a DVS request may only be canceled. A DVS request cannot be revised. Only DVS responses with an action code of A1 certified in total may be canceled. If a DVS will not cancel, check if the claim was paid. If the paid claim contains multiple claim lines, replace the paid claim and remove the one line with the DVS. If the paid claim contains only one claim line, void the claim. Once the paid claim is replaced or voided, the provider will be able to cancel the DVS. If the claim was not paid, check when the DVS was obtained. It could be out of the 90-day time frame for cancellation. There are two ways to cancel a DVS request. For option 1, select Revise Cancel Request under the PA DVS section. The first option is to enter the review ID number found in the DVS response and then click Go. Select Cancel Service Request and then click Submit. Again, as a reminder, a DVS request may only be canceled. For the second option of canceling a DVS, select Responses under the PA DVS section. Click on the client ID to access the DVS response details screen. From the DVS details screen, click on Revise Cancel Request. Select Cancel Service Request and then click Submit. Some key points and important reminders when requesting a DVS authorization for dental include: A dental DVS authorization is required when the procedure code description shows DVS required, or a PA DVS code of DVS is indicated in the fee schedule. A DVS request requires the current date and not a past or future date. A DVS request requires an ordering provider. A DVS response of A1 certified in total indicates requested services have been authorized. A DVS response of A3 not certified indicates requested services have not been authorized. Service or delivery must occur between the DVS issue date and expiration date. A DVS authorization may only be canceled, not revised. Only a DVS response of A1 certified in total may be canceled. And a DVS authorization does not guarantee payment. Prior to submitting a DVS request, a provider must verify a member's eligibility. For additional information regarding ePACES and the Dispensing Validation System, please visit the emedney.org website and reference the Dental Provider Manual and ePACES PA DVS reference sheets. For further assistance, please contact the eMedney call center at 800-343-9000. This concludes our ePACES DVS for Dental tutorial. Thank you for joining, and please visit us at www.emedny.org for additional training resources.